It's communities like this all over Alberta. This is happening. This is a groundswell. And I'm very, very happy to see this happening up here as well. I voted against the government bill on the last day of session in the fall. And it was absolutely disgusting what was taking place there. I had put an amendment forward. There's the bill on the floor was Bill 81, I believe. And there was a clause in that bill where it's now legal for anybody, a business or a PAC or anyone, to buy a membership for you in a political party without your knowledge.
What?
My own government blocked me from putting forward my amendment. They went to a thing that's called time allocation. They limited the discussion in committee of the whole to 1 hour. And then 4 ministers stood up and spoke and ate up the entire hour. So none of the opposition were allowed to speak. I wasn't allowed to speak and put forward my motion. That's where we're going with some of these things in our government, is taking away the rights of people.
Yep.
And Mr. Kenny's made some comments lately. He's finally noticed the upswell in rural Alberta, and I think he's getting scared. So he's now trying to paint us, if you're opposed to him, that you're a right-wing fanatic. When you're actually a liberal, all conservatives are on your right. Just because we oppose you isn't because we're all fanatics. It's because you're not actually a conservative, you're a liberal. And that's the message that we're going to give to him, and my colleagues are surprised that I'm still in caucus. They have to vote me out, and I just assumed that they were going to try to kick me out, so I said, if you guys do that, I want a recorded vote. And she said, well, why do you want that? And I said, because I want each and every one of you to have to go back to your constituents and explain why you voted against me for voting against that bill. And this is the stuff we need to expose, folks. It's one of the things that that was quite common in the media over the last 2 years is if you wanted to know what Jason Kennedy was going to do next, just listen to what Rachel Notley was saying last week. My nomination and our next AGM within our constituency association will be interfered with. We've already seen it in a couple of areas in southern Alberta where the party has stepped in and taken over constituency associations and interfered with the nomination process. They tried to do it with Mr. Jean up in Fort McMurray as well.
So when we looked at all the questions, one of the questions is, and they're kind of combining, is, you know, why are we doing an STM? Why couldn't they just do a vote of the caucus? And I think this is where we're going to need Victor to stand up and give us some technical details of how the politics really work. That one might work.
And I'm a loud guy, so I think I can make it work.
Can you hear back
there? Hear me back at the back? All right. There's a couple of things to it. I mean, ultimately, if caucus were really brave, and they'd have to be very, very brave to fight off the bullies, because there's 2 or 3 cabinet ministers who are really good at bullying, they could create such a stink that maybe he might go. But the number one argument that the bullies use is that there's actually no provision in the rules of the United Conservative Party for caucus to remove a leader. There used to be a provision in the Wild Rose rules where caucus could force a leadership review vote. So back in the late fall, when R.J. Sigurdsson made his attempt and frankly got bullied, and lots of the MLAs got bullied, and let's be clear, this premier is a bully, and the people around him are jerks.
Yep.
And they will come after you, and they'll come after your family, and they will come after your business, and they will spread any secret or any lie that they can get on you. So there's an awful lot of people who, when push comes to shove, they kind of aren't super brave in that circumstance. In all honesty, you probably don't want to elect 87 jerks to sit as MLAs. Well, if you're electing 87 relatively nice people, and, you know, or in this case, you know, the backbench of the caucus, 40-some relatively nice people, and they're dealing with, you know, 9 or 10 real jerks in cabinet, and 9 or 10 jerks in cabinet who will sort of support them, they kind of back off a little bit. But ultimately, the argument that was made was, well, only the members can remove me. And that's what this meeting is about. It's about making sure that we send enough members there. And frankly, Jason Kenney is counting on the fact that, you know, people might be mad, but are they mad enough to drive to Red Deer? Are they mad enough to spend $99? And, you know, ultimately, $99 is a really small investment in freedoms. It's a really small investment in sending politicians a message. It's a really small investment in sending the next leader a message. But from the pure technical side of it, they're kind of right. You know, there isn't any rule that says caucus can remove this guy. So they're trying to rely on that. We can remove him. Honest to goodness. You know, if thousands and thousands of people are signed up to go to Red Deer, he may even leave before that day, because he probably doesn't want to get beaten up on a vote. But ultimately, we've got to go chase down this stuff. And folks, Dave's a gentleman, and I had the pleasure of working under him, of being a staffer for him when I was with the Wild Rose official opposition. And his colleagues admire Dave for being a gentleman, and Dave's been pushing pretty damn hard. As a matter of fact, you know, there are reasons why Dave probably can't get kicked out of caucus right now. Because I think Jason Kenney knows that if he kicks a few more people out of caucus, that once you have a certain critical mass, they get a whole bunch more funding, and they get the ability to create a new party, and they get the ability to jerk Jason Kenney's strings a little bit different ways. So I don't think anybody else is going to get kicked out of this caucus, no matter what they do, until April 9th. But I also think that if we all do our jobs, he's gone on April 9th, and then there's a leadership race, and we'll get to have some influence on who the next leader is. And whoever that person is, you know, he or she will have realized that you can't cross Albertans too much.
Yes. Yes.
Segues into the next question. So if the caucus was able to remove Todd Lowen and Drew Barnes earlier this year, why cannot the same be done for Kenny?
We're saying that it's about the bullying. They would not have a recorded vote. It was done online, or on the phone or online. We had no idea how accurate the count was.
Right.
We were not given the results at all. It was just, yeah, they're out.
Let me pile on to this. Joseph Stalin once said, "I don't give a damn who votes. I care who counts the votes."
Right.
Yep. Yep.
When Todd Lowen was kicked out of caucus, Jason Kenney in the caucus chair counted the votes as they came in supposedly on texts to the caucus chair's cell phone. And nobody knows what the count was. Todd wasn't told, nobody else was told, and Todd has since taken phone calls from more than one cabinet minister who says, "Todd, I voted for you to stay." So we'll never know. But and if you don't actually believe that happened, I can tell you for a fact that the exact same trick was done in the Rimby Rocky Mountain House Sundry Constituency Association annual general meeting in November, and was done just a few weeks ago in the Sherwood Park Constituency Association annual general meeting, where literally, you know, they did it as an online meeting. The chair said, "People have voted and you've lost." And that was it. No counts, no telling anybody who could vote, no confirming the number of votes, no confirming even the number of people at the meeting. These guys are prepared to cheat. I mean, I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but there are 3 ongoing criminal cases with the Mounties investigating this stuff. The Mounties have told the media that these are complicated investigations that will take a few more years or a few more months yet to solve. $210,000 worth of fines were issued related to the 2017 leadership race when Jason Kenney won.
Wow.
They're bullies, they're cheats, they're prepared to do everything they can to win, which is also why, you know, meetings like this are happening all over the province, and people like me who've got a background in sort of politics and in the details are working really hard to get organized. Because one, if it's not close, cheating doesn't matter. And two, we know all the dirty tricks, and we're gonna be ready for it. We're just not gonna, you know, they fooled us once. We weren't thinking about cheating. We're thinking about cheating this time. There won't be any cheating.